Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm going to start with some music and I'm going to introduce Christelle. As the last time, I have called for viewers, for my kittens, to send me whatever represents them. So she actually sent some artwork that she does. They're watercolors, so I just really want to do it before I start, and I'm starting with Blood Moon. So hopefully this is going to work for you. So let's start with the music, and I see you back in 3 minutes. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. So, Christelle took me upon kind of presenting like my kittens. So, there is her work. In French, watercolors are called aquarelle, just the same word is in Croatian. And I don't see her here, but anyhow, if any one of you also wants to represent yourself without showing me a selfie, I mean, you can, but I'm more or less show me who you are without showing me who you are. I think that would be kind of like really nice. So I'm going to jump in because we do have a little bit longer thing that we are doing over here. So I'm going to stop this and just give you for a moment a little bit of slideshow about the eclipse that we are going through, just to show you how this actually really works. As you can see it, how the moon is going to appear very red on the 8th, and here is the basically how that is basically happening, or why and how is this sun breaking. It's simply astrological phenomena that is going to happen. So what I actually really want to do, as the last time when we had the lunar eclipse, and lunar eclipse is all about exposing and it's about big plans. Lunar eclipses are all about emotions. So this one is eclipsing in Taurus. It so also happens that it coincides with the elections in the US. Let me just clean my glasses so I can read my notes over here on my end, as I actually prepare the chart and everything to kind of like go through that with you. So let's see, it's called Blood Moon, and I guess it's really appropriate because it goes through the Scorpio kind of like transition. However, the blood in horoscope really represents Aquarius, and the fixed signs are really going to be affected quite a bit this time around, as you're going to see shortly. Let me just remove this one as well. And hello, and let's start. I am going to pull, I think, my chart over here. I hope everybody is seeing it, and let's go into some interpretation. I need to go, and where am I going? On this one? No, I'm on the wrong window. I have to go back to my solar fire. Voila. So for a moment, I'm not going to be seeing what you are talking about, but anyhow, I will start rolling with things that I need to cover. And I wrote here 7 pages, so there is like actually quite a bit to go through. So this full moon in Taurus on November 8, 2022 is a total lunar eclipse. It's going to be seen in North America, and I'm going to show later which parts of the world are going to see it. It aligns with Mercury, as you can see it. Look at this moon. Look at that alignment with Mercury. Look at that over here, right? And it is opposite Uranus. Look at that. Like this is also position, sorry, that's a Neptune. No, that's Uranus. That's Uranus, and there is also conjunction over here that is really happening. So the November 8th lunar eclipse will continue to make people scared and uncertain about the future. We just are going through this like solar eclipse, which kind of like, I don't know about you, but it's pulling things from the past, and it's making us deal with the stuff that we don't want to deal with. And even if the stuff is us and how we approach things and how we go through it, right? So this is kind of like adding to it and saying, okay, did you start doing your homework? Come on, let's keep on going, right? This kind of like also increases risk of a prolonged global recessions, again, because people don't want to look in their own spendings and what they do. So Taurus aligns with Mercury opposite Uranus, as you can see. That would be Taurus over here. It would be Scorpio that are going through traditionally. They're opposing signs anyway, right? So like a regular full moon, this one is a little bit stronger because the sun opposite the moon of a lunar eclipse brings your home, family, and intimate relationships into sharper focus, right? And the lunar eclipse November 2022 astrology is really powerful because this is total lunar eclipse. So opposing forces such as work versus home, or what we need versus what we want, create that inner tension and external pressures. And that can of course lead to conflict and crisis that can drain our energy. But a lunar eclipse represents also a resetting of your emotions, just like this blood moon. It's almost like the scorpionic phoenix that has to raise. And Scorpio is all about emotions. So holy moly, like November 8th is going to be loaded. But this is going to last not for a day, but for 6 months. So we need to clean that emotional I would say baggage, but better to say garbage of the previous 6 months, right? That's kind of like what we need to do. So the lunar qualities of emotions and instincts usually peak at full moon, and usually there's like more car accidents, etc. So use your emotional strength, use your intuition to overcome any challenges, relationship challenges. It's better to keep it shut and go home and process it than kind of like go in a conflict. And this is kind of like why it is the thread which coincides with conflict and anger, etc., etc., right? So the planetary aspects are usually kind of like looked in order of strength. So it's Mercury and then Uranus and then Saturn, and that's possibly because of the proximity of to the sun. That's kind of like how it works. So now we have this full moon here opposing this Mercury over here, right? So that makes it harder to understand our feelings and to share them. We might feel a little bit scatterbrained or polarized, kind of like we're only black and white. That makes it really challenging to find inner balance or to relax. It can also make it harder to kind of like make sense of everyday problems. So arguments are possible because of some maybe emotional bias that we are carrying, or a simple lack of understanding. So we can also feel, and maybe you're already starting to feel, confusion, anxiety, prejudice, racism, and also addiction peaks during this period. So extra care you need to pay attention to if you're dealing with some kind of like negotiations, critical decisions, and sensitive discussion topics. Be extra careful. Then the next one we are dealing is this Uranus over here, right? So this is like this full moon is conjuncting this Uranus. Look at this, they're exactly the same degree. Conjunct, I think, even goes to up to 2 degrees, but this is literally one on top of another. And I remember last night I watched the sort of like setting sun, and the moon showed up, and I saw the star blinking next to it. I just couldn't believe it. It was Uranus, and it did show on my sky map. I just couldn't believe it. I'm seeing that little dot with my naked eye, with my astigmatic in a naked eye. So that's kind of like for that. So Uranus, as you know, it's a like oddball of the basically astrology. It rotates on the side. It looks like somebody kicked it, and it's kind of like doing its own thing and rotating in an opposite direction. So that usually talks about somebody not going on with a plan. So this kind of like starts the beginning of radical changes. There's going to be a strong need for independence, but it's also going to be emotional volatility and erratic behavior. What can go wrong? You have a crazy two lunatics who wants his independence, who wants to do whatever he wants to do, right? So tell me how easy it is to live a life like Aquarius, right? You guys might feel impatient or restless or anxious or impulsive. And of course, hello, join the crowd, rebellious. The events that can occur can actually result in relationship upsets or family upsets or disputes. Or it might be some kind of significant change in direction when it comes to somebody who is really close to you. So this November eclipse with Uranus heightens your intuition, and it can actually bring psychic awareness and flashes of insight, but you guys already have it. So just because you have it, it doesn't mean it cannot grow further. So just if something happens, just allow it to happen, right? And also keep in mind that solar eclipses are like turning inward, right? So it's kind of like we need to kind of like deal with stuff inside, but lunar eclipses are usually like downloads, getting that information, so hence that insights, right? So the moon is opposite the moon is opposite the sun, and look at it, it's like 16 exact opposition, and Mercury over here, and it also squares Saturn. Check this out. You see this like little subline here? Look at this triangle. It's forming this triangle, which I am going to address later. It's very similar. I said within 2 degrees, and Saturn is in Aquarius. Saturn likes to be in Aquarius. Also, Saturn likes to be in Capricorn, but it reacts completely differently, right? So it's just like, think about you visiting 2 different families with 2 different family structures. You behave different in those kind of like environments, right? So when Saturn is in Aquarius, Saturn actually really acts like changer of systems, right? So it can be a big societal change as a result, right? That's very, very important here to understand. So again, like, I mean, it's going to be a very low concentration span and tendency to be very distracted, and that can really communications and anything that is relating to communications is going to be affected. So don't be rushed. Just make sure you take care of stuff. And when you make plans or business deals, or you need to kind of like have a goal that your boss is looking at it, be very, very careful. It's going to be very important to have flexibility and adaptability. I should have put a little note, flexibility and adaptability, because that's the key of this eclipse. Because plans might be changing all the time, and if you're a fixed sign, you don't like it. To me, like when I plan something and I spend my heart and stuff, and somebody just changes the last moment, I usually do go with a plan because I'm also very flexible and easygoing. But oh my God, I'm going to think the next time I'm going to clarify this better, because internally I am not going to like it, right? Because I feel that somebody just wasted my time. Well, then let's talk about this Saturn over here a little bit more. So when full moon square Saturn, as kind of like we see that in this line over here, this has a restricting and oppressing influence, not that changing ability that Saturn can do as usual, right? So that could be tests and challenges and really, really heavy responsibility. Some people might feel pessimistic, might feel lonely. It's going to be kind of like feeling of a loss of some sort, right? So if you are sad around this time, blame it on Saturn, right? Because this guilt or shame or grief, this is all happening there. However, because Saturn is the master teacher and it's teaching us in a strictarian, it's authoritarian, kind of like most of us don't like it, but it is what it is. We actually learn quite a bit of things under him. So also, sometimes forces change on us. So if you're having unhealthy or codependent relationships that are also involving abuse or addiction, this may end. This will be you're cutting that cord, you're not feeling a longing for somebody who was not nice or kind to you. You are just done and over with, right? And even normal relationships can suffer from emotional coldness or moodiness, or sometimes even nagging and bullying. Like this morning I was reading an article in Toronto Star. It was Dear Somebody, one of those columns, and it was just basically a woman complaining that a husband bought a dog, and how can she live a life now? This is like such a huge kind of like disrespect toward her. And I'm thinking, oh my God, did she think like marriage is jail? That for life the husband will not be able to do any of the things he likes? Geesh. And yet many people said, well, this is what it is. Like, I mean, I was like just thinking, like, divorce the dude if you don't like it. What can you do? Like, let him have some fun. Why don't you have some fun with something else? It's just like really weird. But so kind of like this is kind of like what it can be even more emphasized during this transit. So that gloomy thoughts or bad news or something like that, it could be argumentative, or somebody can be critical. And be careful, somebody can be mean, and that somebody could be even us. So this is why it's also maybe good to have a little bit of distance in a relationship, because just we don't blur something out that somebody just like stepped on our tail, or said something like when we were really nervous or something, and there's a knee-jerk reaction that is really, really, really hard to repair. So hence, patience and attention to detail are really, really needed this time around, right? And take time, really take time with that. So then Saturn square Uranus here, which is the same thing. It's coming from the same thing. That's why we have the two lines over here. Is almost finished actually, but this activation by a total lunar eclipse will extend the fear of uncertainty, right? So that's what it happens. So this is what can go wrong. There's like something emotional. So there's like a cannot think of the word, north node, north node, and last time we had eclipse in the south node, and this is why it was turning us inward, but this one is turning us actually outward. So it's kind of like the two of them are almost the opposite in the nature, right? So this aspect here that I'm talking about, and mark my words, has coincided with millions of deaths, that imprisonment and financial instability. And this is kind of like when we had pandemic, if you remember when I was covering that, we kind of like had that mix, which could mean reemergence of COVID, and I really hope not. I finally resolved not to wear a mask, and I just don't look forward to 3 more years of that. So let's talk about this T-square. You see this triangle over here? I should have just drawn just this triangle, but I am not that knowledgeable about solar fire yet. So mostly, as you can see, we have red aspects over here, right? And they're charged with energy. So red, just like blood moon, promotes action, achievement, and the attainment of goals. And barely blue aspects that we see here, there's like blue would be relax a little bit, and green aspects would be acting without thinking, right? So what do we conclude here? This T-square promote act first and think later mentality, and not the other way around. So even though I'm telling you, be patient, be careful, watch what you say, you're still going to start blurring things out. So energy is usually bottled up in these kind of like opposition. Do you know like how you're not supposed to open the door of the house on fire because oxygen activates it? That's kind of like what is really happening over here. So Sun, Mercury, right, that we have over here, opposite this Moon, Uranus on this other side, that create that kind of like unstable, erratic, and very impulsive energy. So it is kind of like discharged along the squares, kind of like towards the kind of like apex of this T-square with Saturn in that apex. So our goal is to achieve stability and security. So we need to go through the transformation. We need to finish what we are kind of like doing, this process we are going through. So the snake is shedding its skin. It's rebirth during life. Hi, Shabby girl. Hi, Shabby girl. You don't like Saturn? You Aquarius, little Aquarius, you should like Saturn. Okay, so applying too much discipline or restriction, as the Saturn kind of like likes to do, to kind of like restore order, can result in very unsuccessful energy transfers, and that can kind of like lead to rigidity. So again, that authoritarian, and somebody telling us, well, you know, your ideas are great, but you know, it's going to be my way, and I know that my way is from the 50s, but it's going to be, so that's kind of like where it's going to be like that you kind of like have a little kind of like feeling in the pit of your stomach, and somebody's really getting on your nerves, and you really want to tell them off, but you can't, kind of like because of the authority, and Saturn is authority, it represents it, right? So our inability to adapt to change can result in the same mistakes being made repetitively, right? So this is also falling in the sign of Taurus, right? But I have another picture that I have saved for you, because this is always something for me that was really interesting. So you see here how this really looks in the sky. And where is that picture on me? Here. So this is how it looks. As you can see, kind of, this is our Uranus and Moon. They are overlapping over here. Even though it's quote unquote in Taurus, does it look to you it's falling in Taurus? Look at this. Taurus, Aries, Pisces, and we can see here somebody's pouring the water over here, and the fish is escaping over here, right? So no, this is kind of like happening, this movement of the signs. Discrepancy is due to the precession of the equinoxes, right? It has moved the sun signs almost a whole sign out of alignment with the constellations from which they were named over 2,000 years ago, and nobody bothered to correct it, right? So the zodiac was invented initially only as a measuring device when the rain is going to start, when you need to kind of like when is the last frost and stuff like that, right? So astrologists have always used kind of like these visible constellations and the stars for astrological interpretation. I actually don't find this is true all the time. Some people are very strict and they'll be just tooting the horn. It's in Taurus, it's in Taurus, it's in Taurus. But I'm going to tell you it is not. And bite me. It's officially, the statement is in Taurus because that's what it is. But look where it is. It's actually over here. It's within the orb or Alpha Ceti. That would be this one over here. Can you see this monster freaking fish over here? It's called Menkar. It is kind of like on the nose of the whale of sea monster over here. So the sea monster, that constellation Cetus, is kind of like usually connected with laziness and being idle. This like quiet quitting, as this is becoming a new term. But also kind of like to confer an emotional and charitable nature. So this is like also connecting with war, but it makes one amiable, prudent, and happy by seeing land, and helps to recover lost goods. So somebody owes you something, sort of things, just, maybe it's time to remind them, and they might just get it. So this fixed star Menkar over here does cause disease and disgrace and ruin and injury from beasts. Heck, a loss of fortune. So it's almost like Saturn. It's like now we have like not only T-square, but we have this monster. We can as well call it monster, right? Because with moon, when this is really happening, because look at the proximity over here, right? It's going to create mental anxiety. We are going to hate anything vulgar, from vulgar speech to vulgar expression. Twitter is going to go kind of like in flames, because this is kind of like vulgarity is the name of a day over there. It's also ruling ill will of women and danger from thieves, so make sure you lock your car, you lock anything you need to lock. But it could be sickness to you and to family. This is also kind of like putting a pressure on marriage partner, because look, this freaking monster is attacking. So that's kind of like what we need to kind of like think about it. So this triangulum has to come there and kind of like cut the throat, and this is not really happening over here. So legal losses, quarrels, legacies, inheritances are maybe attended by much evil in the past. And if something like that happened, there is a thing that is going to be really, really addressed, right? So what is the summary over here? The November full moon is really more powerful than the regular full moon. So if you're needing let go ceremonies, just understand this one is going to be really, really good to kind of like let go of the things. But especially when it comes to our emotional state, you want to deal with your aggression, you want to deal with your anger, you want to deal with codependency. This is the time to really do that, right? So this is really, really a powerful eclipse. The totality of this eclipse lasts 86 minutes, which is well below average, and it's going to be the longest total lunar eclipse until June of 2029. So also, let me just go back so you can see. I don't think you can see all of these planets over here. Just give me a second. And where did I put this? Sky. Voila. We are back. So that Mercury opposite Uranus, right, over here, that we see that is aligning really closely with the Sun opposite Moon as well, as you can see this as well, right? So adds to the power intensity of this lunar eclipse. So it makes people anxious, erratic, and unpredictable. So with the Saturn that is on the apex over here of T square, we really need to put some effort in order to continue to be stable or maintain some order. By the very nature of Mercury opposite Uranus over here, and the T-square means that mistakes will be made. So prepare for the mistakes and prepare prepare to eat a humble pie, prepare that certain things will go wrong, prepare that you're going to drop the ball. So Mercury is the most potent planetary influence on November 2022. Lunar eclipse astrology is kind of like really showing us how this is going to be exposed, right? And Uranus will make the financial markets very unpredictable and erratic with really, really big swings. And the square to Saturn, like look at those squares, like look at the squares affecting Leo, it's affecting Aquarius, it's affecting Scorpio and Taurus. So that's what I said. The fixed signs are going to have it a little bit off because we build these systems and then somebody goes squish. I don't like it. We're going to change the plans, kind of a thing. So it's going to be really how much did we learn to adapt, right? So business partners may be unreliable, deals will fall through, and so on and so forth. So that's why I'm thinking this could be bankruptcies, job losses. It could be kind of like a Black November, if you wish, right? But keep in mind that also Mercury rules thinking, so that chaotic change and unexpected bad news can continue to make people scared and uncertain of the future. So that election day in the USA could see changes favoring conservatives or based on fear. And with the eclipse that conjunct with a Saturn-like star, which I told you, like that monster planet, and Saturn at the apex, that this square, there is a risk of negative thinking and there is a risk of turning into depression. So guys, if something like that is happening with you or around you, just try to get some light therapy if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or add yourself a D vitamin. Really, really good stones to drain this like negative energy would be like onyx or anything that is black. It's really good to kind of like take it out of your system, right? So what else? Eclipse phases astrologically, and that's somewhere where I have it. Here we go. A full moon is influenced by the preceding new moon. So we had this October 25th solar eclipse, which did create uncertainty and dissatisfaction, and it was kind of like relating to love, money, and job prospects, etc. So important decisions that would make us happy and content were maybe made. So the influence is now that combining with this November 8th, and that kind of like forms that ellipse phase that lasts about 6 months up to April 20th, 2023. Oh my God. So here I have this, and is this here? Yes, these are going to be the times when you can see it in the sky if you're interested to kind of like wake up early. So to be LA's 3 o'clock a.m. if you really want to get up and watch it. Over here where I am, it's going to be 7 o'clock in the morning, meaning I don't know, is it light? Yes, it is still dark until 8 o'clock. So that's going to be easy for me. Sydney, I don't know, Kylie, where you are, but you're like somewhere there. It's going to be evening. You're going to also see it. So guys, I think even though it shows Europe, I guess, is not going to see it because it's a daylight. But here you can see clearly that entire North America will be able to observe it. So thank God I got to that. It was not the happiest thing to say or to do, and my apologies for doing that, but you know, actually I have to say this is kind of like how I roll on this one. So let me just see now, because I was completely in different windows, who talked, who didn't talk, who do I have to catch up. Again, if you guys haven't been in the very beginning, I have presented Christelle's art, as she was kind enough to share herself a little bit with us, and I don't think she's on today. That sucks, but it is what it is. So hello Lynn, hello Barbie, hello Lorna, hello Kylie. Ikat is here as well. Oh my gosh, there she is. She's here. Christelle is here. So hello, bonjour. And let me show you one more time, just really quickly. So just 4 seconds before I move forward, and I'm going to move forward today with Scorpio. Oh no, Scorpio, it will be wait, is it Scorpio? No, it will be Sagittarius. That's going to be the first one. Now I have to think a little bit different, because we are getting into the stage. So as you can see, like the word of the day is aquarelle, because that means watercolor in French. It's absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. Oh my gosh, I absolutely like watercolors. It's so romantic to kind of like have it. And my whole family really, we had like days when we would just do these watercolors together. And it is now time for us guys to, let me just put this sign here, because I have to do the signs on the monthlies. So I am going to actually, I have decided that, in spite I said last time that I'm going to do December and then January and then annuals. No, I'm going to do December, then I'm going to do annuals, and then I'm going to do whatever I need to do. So I'm not going to merge this with astrology for the annuals. I'm going to do astrology in January and kind of like cover it that way, just like 1 month at a time. So off we go. You can guys guess for the last time I was like writing with the wrong pen on my thing, and it just destroyed my entire page on my rocket book. So we are going to do this and using a little bit different deck, but it's still a cat deck, and to go with this, right? So anybody who wants to send me some photos, something that you experience, hey, you're welcome. I just really want to feature this, right? So there you go, Lynn. It was not very positive thing that I was saying, but for me it's like forewarned, it's forearmed, kind of like that's what happens. Okay, so let's see. Scorpio, pardon me, Sagittarius is first, and let me just put here intro, and so Sagittarius is, okay, let me start. Sagittarius. So this is like now for December. It's actually a little bit before December because I'm doing Sagittarius transit. So we're actually covering here November 23rd to December 22nd, just like coming up to Capricorn, kind of like past. So we can just like see what is going on there. So let's see Sagittarians. We have one, and we have the High Priestess over here. And I looked on the bottom, and it was the Judgment reverse. They're actually corresponding as kind of like spiritually. They're like, this is the moon, so you're going to be highly affected with these transits that we are going through in November. So it will be good for you to check the introduction to know this lunar and solar eclipses and how basically they can play a role for the next 6 months. And then we have Five of Cups. For you, my dear Saggies, this might result in loss of some kind of relationships. I don't know if you're dealing with somebody who is a water sign. In particular, I would say Cancer or Scorpio, because these two major arcanas are really talking about some I don't know, some emotional things that really need to take place, right? And this is like talking about spirituality, or some kind of like a partner that is a karmic partner, and that certain things need to be shed as a result, and it hasn't been shed, and the wisdom hasn't been obtained as a result, and somebody is really mourning things when we need to really learn things. Maybe you're looking for the help outside. Maybe you're using alcohol, you're using drugs in order to soothe this pain. This is kind of like where I see these kind of like things happening, right? And I think this is a little bit too high again, and I'm always afraid to move my camera because this could mean that it's going to mess up, and then my OCD is going to start acting up. But let me give it a try over here. I know it's not perfect, but let's hope this is kind of like putting it a little bit closer over here. So let me just see what kind of like clarifications I can get here for you, my dear Saggies. So you're getting anger. You know what? I had for years when I started, for years I had this issue that Sagittarians and Scorpio and I think Aquarians and I think Virgos were showing up as some kind of like a package deal. In particular, Sagittarians and Scorpio. So this could mean literally a person who is a Scorpio, or this could mean that it was a lots of energy or lots of bad blood, if you wish, right? Scorpio rules sexuality. Maybe you were overperforming in that segment or underperforming in that segment, and it kind of like started to bug you, right? So there's like some kind of sadness, because this also talks about emotional connections. But look at this card that represents anger. It's kind of like showing that somebody is really insulted. There's like somebody who is apprentice and he's literally being physically beaten. And what is coming to me is like a beaten in a pulp. And it's like not a good feeling for anybody. It's not something that we really want to have. So that's kind of like where this confuses me a little bit, right? And look at that. It's the Lover. If you're falling for somebody in December, if somebody's very meaningful to you, or you're remembering the old lover, something didn't maybe close, maybe the emotions are resurfacing, and this can be like from years ago. Cups can talk about months for sure, but like then you have like this karma card over here. So somebody who is a karmic soulmate, and this could have been 20, 30, 50 years ago, depending how old you are, right? So with High Priestess reversed and with the Lover, there was like something that was left unsaid. Or you know how I said that, like, I mean, things, there was like no tolerance, which we are going through right now. And maybe it was a situation in the past, and now it's coming back and saying, hello, we are going through this lunar eclipse. Let me just try to kind of like address this as well. Let me just squeeze it on agenda. That's kind of like what I'm seeing over here. And just like Five of Cups, we are having here reversed enemy and gift. So maybe what you need to do is let go of certain things. Maybe you perceived somebody as an enemy and the person wasn't really an enemy. But in any case, what has happened, because you guys are born under Jupiter, like you, many Sagittarius tell me, well, I'm not happy, as you're telling me that I'm happy. But the truth is that when you're born under Jupiter, they also move you away from the situations where you're not supposed to be, even though you're really enjoying them. And there was like something that you really wanted, especially if you're a male Sagittarian. If you're a female Sagittarian, you were going or still going through some situation that is, I guess, making you very intuitive. You're trying to pull it in. Be careful, because it's reversed in December. This might not serve you that well, because it's kind of like you're like relying on the skills that you had, but almost like you're blindfolded, and this moment you just don't have them. So you just really need to rather deal with emotional impacts. If anything comes as a negative to you, as anything comes as I wish things were different, just process it, just like deal with it and move forward, because this was actually ultimately a gift, and that is what is really, really important here to know. All right, I'm seeing that Barbie already threw her hat in with Aries. So let's see, guys. Are you guessing which one is next? Well, I put this away, so this is like the next one we are going to have. And I'm going to put it in different spots and start to shuffle. Kyle is a cut energetic ties with karmic Scorpio family member, been crying and doing self-care. Oh, that's the Scorpio for us, right? And you are Sagittarius, so there it goes. So you see, I did tell you, Sagittarian and Scorpio energy. I'm feeling it. I don't know if Kylie, if you joined my channel in the very, very beginning, but who knows? So that's kind of like what it is. So let me see, guys, if we have Aries and we have Leo and we have Aquarius, and I'm opening up. This one is a little bit off. Let me see if I go on this side, if this is going to help. It's not overly off, but a little bit off. The next one, oh my gosh, you guys were so close. We had Leo and Aquarius, but we didn't have Taurus. Let me see if I go furthermore. Is it going? Oh, maybe actually moving the wrong stuff. So the next one is, guys, Taurus. So, oh, look at that. I actually moved it properly. That happened once in a blue moon, right? So Taurus, let's see what's going, and it's 444. That's for Taurus. So that's telling me it's going to be something, sorry, 4444. So that's something very significant that is going to happen for Taurus. And let me see what this is. And the next one that you guys can keep guessing, I'm going to put out here. So let's see, Taurus. Taurus. This one. Ooh, we have the moon. So yes, moon in Taurus. Taurus is saying, how dare you talk about that the moon is in Aries when it's in Taurus, and it's not even in the monster fish thing, it's not in the sea monster, it's in Taurus. So that's kind of like where I'm hearing the message is coming to me. Oh yeah, there's the Six of Swords. Actually, I like this card, Six of Swords. It's like so hopeful. And it's like 10 of Wands reversed. So what are we dealing here with, right? So the moon is always a tricky one. As you're seeing, this very, very influential lunar eclipse is going to be more influential. So I don't think I need to really explain the moon to you, my dear Taurus. Please go and listen to the intro, because that intro is going to give you everything that you need. I have covered lunar eclipse in details. It's like it shows in the picture, it's barking against the moon, but it's only the little lobster that is kind of like finding the path. So just make sure you're not angry, or if you're angry, that what are the reasons, how you're handling. There's going to be lots of miscommunications, etc. This is also a card of big jealousy, right? But moon is also positive card, but it usually starts to be very positive toward the end of our lives, and beginning and the end of our lives, because it connects to that phases in life. So it is kind of like that kind of like passage that we are coming to this life, and also spiritual passage when we are exiting the life. So that's why it represents Pisces, right? Because that's why I consider Pisces are not even astrological sign, because they are like here to simply monitor the process of us moving in and out of this planet, of this experience, right? And hence the Aquarius has the biggest burden of learning stuff, because Pisces are not learning, they're just commanding, if you wish. And that's why they're swimming in all directions, because they have to be able to accommodate people with what they need. And we see that here, my dear Taurus, Six of Swords, and this is like 6 and 10 is 16. So what is 16 in tarot? The Tower. And the Tower means something has to be rebuilt. And I think you're really well aware. It's almost like it could be going the distance. It could be traveling. It's going somewhere away. I really like this particular card. Usually they should show the troubled waters or messy waters on one side and calm waters on the other one. But here they're presented with a bridge that happens, that we can actually go and enjoy. So there is like a little one that is all in awe. Oh my gosh, this is so cool, I'm doing it. But there is somebody worried about what's going to happen. Am I going to have a good time? I'm not going to have a good time. But this to me is this card that shows the decision to move in a different environment. And what is this different environment? It shows us here. We are heading toward this like 10 of Wands, but it's reversed. And the kitten wants to jump here. So we will see what's going to happen. And that will be Jasper if she comes here. So this is the card upright. It was reversed for you. Upright is the secrets. It's the burdens. It's kind of like stuff that people saddle you with. Hello, Jasper girl. Hello, Jasper girl. So, but when it's reversed, you have no tolerance for secrets. And the secrets could be like imprisonment. Remember how I said this lunar moon can talk a lot about the stuff that has been hidden, constrained. And there is like a certain revolt in you. Like usually you're not very revolutionary sign. And if I ever tell, let's say earth sign, something like about, hey, you know, try to kind of like date Gemini or Aquarius or something, they should probably run away in fear. Like, why would they want somebody who is rebellious or who is always inconstant? Because that's dating a wind, basically, right? But here it is, like that's what we have. Like you are earth sign, we have water, and we have air, and we have fire. Earth is not showing up here. You are not in your element. This lunar thing is like for you to release certain things, and that goes to secrets, that goes to who and how you really want to do things, right? So I really like this card when it comes reverse. And this one, it's that uncertainty of how are you going to get there, but it is still a certainty of what you're not going to negotiate on anymore. It's very important to you, and I absolutely love it. So let me just check the moon over here. Oh, the icon cat for Taurus, thank you very much. I just looked up because it's still having the wrong thingy here. I need to put my keyboard on the table. I used to have the big round table when for reading when I was in Toronto. Now this table is served as my dining table, and this one is just small for reading. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe in the future change it. So look at this message. So that's the Mercury influence that I was telling you all about it. So it could be that somebody is dying. It could be that something is really affecting you in a sense that it's almost like somebody is dead to me, right? It's going to be very important to kind of like process things in that direction, right? But this is going to be positive. Some messages you're getting could be downloads from the other side. Remember how I said that our intuitive, like this is also a very intuitive card, but it's almost like weird because this card also equals with possession. So what is in between life and death? It's the tunnel, but it's also ghosthood, let's call it that way, right? So you have this ghosthood where, you know, you can get stuck if you don't resolve some emotional issues. That's why we have these lunar eclipses. And this almost like shows this lunar eclipse in this particular card, right? It should be usually the dog and coyote kind of like barking at the moon, different perceptions. And these are like the kind of like showing this dying and transition. But it doesn't have to be literal dying, guys. So don't lock your parent or a child in if they are Taurus. It's simply kind of like something that has to be let go. So Taurus, like, I mean, if you get some kind of message, you need to deal with this because messages are connecting to number 6, and then we have the 6, so it's basically guiding me right here that that message is prompting you to maybe even physically move somewhere, or it's going to be need to take some kind of action. Mercury is like that way. It's not much that you can change, or it's just like you have to act right away, because if you don't, your opportunity will be gone for good, kind of a thing, right? Alrighty, let's put these guys in, and I see here some guesses. Let me just hope to remember to switch the icon as well. So the new guesses are there are always guesses after Barbie announces the sign. And please give one round of applause for Barbie, who is here in and out, putting this like amazing freaking things. And I don't know where she finds it, but they're so awesome. So let's see who is next. Who is next? Let me just remove one, not to forget. Okay, it's a Taurus. Let's remove it. And the next one is Pisces. We were just talking smack about you, Pisces, and here you show up. So nobody ever kind of guesses Pisces, but let me just go back on the other screen and see if you guys have been good that way. Yeah, no guesses for Pisces. We were forgetting that. I guess we don't have many Pisces people here, so, but it is what it is. Let's do this. Let me have a sip of my oranges. Let's do it. Pisces. 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 We have 2 of Pentacles. Oh my God. So it was like, you've seen it yourself. It was the bundle that wants to come out. Oh, let me just get another one here so you can guys guess. So Pisces is saying, oh, what do you mean, 3-card reading? I don't think so. So basically, since only one is the major arcana, these are all a little bit kind of explanations of the situation for Pisces over here. So we have Two of Pentacles, we have the Devil, we have Ten of Pentacles. There's like something about inheritance, something about somebody backstabbing. Oh my God, look at this freaking horror story that is revolving here. Let me just move it so you can guys see all the cards, because now I have placed all the things sort of like in the center, so it's hard to see. I hope I moved it enough. So Ten of Swords, but then King of Pentacles. Look at the Pentacles, Earth, Pentacles, 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 Pentacles. It's forming a story. So this could be husband and wife, but they're like feeling, it's weird. Like the money is all that matters in this family. Everything is done for money. They're willing to cut off the other members of the family in name of the money. And how do I know that? Is because over here, guys, we have this like Five of Pentacles, and we have here this like Ten of Swords. They're both reversed, and also the Devil with the Temptation. And Two of Pentacles is this card of juggling, kind of like seeing which side is going to win, and then you can just jump on that side. That's kind of like where we have like those problems that sometimes kind of like occur, right? So there's some kind of juggling, and it could be that somebody is in a third kind of like three-way party, like that there's a third party involved into this. And it's bizarrely the third party is involved in the situation in a way that everybody knows for everybody. It's very kind of like in the open, if you wish, but the marriage is intact because of the finances, because of the possible children over here. And yet, what is really troublesome about it, I think this couple is also attending church and pretending to be really nice and upstanding member of society. But meanwhile, they're having this like Five of Pentacles here, which basically is saying they're not deserving of being there. And usually when this card comes, especially when it connects with this one just shows somebody was cut off. Somebody has been backstabbed, right? So was this you? It has to be you, because this person is not standing and you are standing. So you have to question your relationships in this particular segment of time. Not only in December, my dear Pisces, but in the upcoming 6 months. Because it's going to be something, look at it, there's a little fish, I don't know if you can see it, stuck over here, and there's a little mouse over here. So there is like kind of like juggle of some sort happening. So are you going to subject everything to the money, or you're going to do the right thing? And doing the right thing is going to mean less money. So who is this person that you are cutting off? And it's weird because like I only had this card to go with, right? So with this card I would say, there's like some kind of decision that has to be made, right? So but this is giving me the entirety of a decision. So it shows the difference between the short and long reading. It just, you know, how much better it is when you manage to clarify. We also have like these two black blocks over here, and the black is that negative energy. I have been talking a lot about that negative energy that is going to be very prevalent, starting with this lunar eclipse. So we have here reversed unexpected joy. So it's actually unexpected sorrow that is really happening for somebody who I don't think it's you, who I think something that you do. And this is a thing, because during this transit we sometimes say things that we don't even mean to say, that we don't even want to say, and they just come across clumsy and awkward, and somebody can end up being hurt, right? Now let me see this like Five of Pentacles, and we have the House. Yeah. So it could be somebody who lives with you. It could be a matter of inheritance, in particular a matter of house here that is really connecting. And money and power is everything for you. Oh my gosh, I just can't believe it. I'm reading Pisces horoscope. It's usually something that Taurus would do, right? But this is kind of like showing almost like a soap opera, that intrigue that can be kind of like written about that. But Tarot wanted you to have a bundle of cards that you can understand, because the home has to be happy. This is not just a picture of the house. As you can see, it's actually very elaborate. What is also elaborate is that we have a whole bunch of bridges coming to it, and we can go to the big heights, or we can stay on the ground, or we also have the boat as a meaning of getting there. And boat always shows savior, saving ourselves. And boat is also proverbial traveling, when we travel, let's say, from this life to the other side as well. Because this is like telling me that the church is not accessible, and church becomes inaccessible if you don't want to play by the rules. And the rules are generally high morality. So, but you guys are ignoring that, because there's like a way that you manage to manipulate somebody. My dear Pisces, this is not the Pisces that I would like to have as Pisces who are guiding us into the next stage. Just give me a second. He's losing his mind, and then I lose my mind. Like, he's barking, then I'm screaming. It's just like, oh my god, this must be Amazon delivery. Nothing else would trigger him like that. Tiggy! And he already got in trouble today. I was like trying to sit outside because it's so nice and warm. And what can go wrong when you sit and enjoying the sun? You want a quiet, you want peace, like not so Tiger, quiet. I tried to put him in. He didn't want to have it, and then he had a talking to. And boy, this dog only cannot talk, but he does understand. Unfortunately, kind of like I had to be disciplinarian in the morning. Okay, guys, you have been guessing while I have been trying to discipline the dog very unsuccessfully. And let's see who is next. You guys have been guessing already, and the next one is Capricornius. So let's see what brings for you over here. Let's put your sign. Let me transfer over here for a second. So, okay, Capricorn. Did anybody guess? No. It's kind of hard in the first part guessing anyway. So you have the Chariot reverse, and this one also wants to come out. And you have the King of Swords reversed. You see, it's showing us all these reversals, and these reversals are things that can go wrong. So it's actually really good, because it tells us these are directions. You might rush into things, you might be unjust, or lose your patience, lose your kind of like a thing here. Oh my gosh, I just remembered I was dreaming actually that I was a King of Swords, and what did I do? I did some kind of like judgment against myself. It was so freaking weird. So I was like proverbial King of Swords who is just trying to do the just thing. So you have, look, just like Taurus had every element other than earth, very much like you, but the water is nourishing right over here. So you do have a water, and you do have a water, but this is kind of moon, and both of them are actually moon related, so it's going to be highly influential. So it's going to be something about contract. I don't know why leases are coming to my mind. There's something is really happening that way, or you're dealing with somebody who is edgy, with whom you kind of like butt heads, or you don't know what to expect. But it could be an air sign over here. If you're a female, and if this is, let's say, somebody you like, this person can be really a jerk. I mean, he or she, I guess it doesn't matter. It's kind of weird. If we go in terms of single, not single, this is the person who wants to be single, but it's reversed. So this is like a person who comes on a date and tells you how they want a family and this and that, but actually they want to be single, right? So you can only go with words at that point. You just don't see actions. So it's kind of like being misled. And then somebody explodes over here, loses their freaking mind over everything, right? Like I will right now. Let me see. Oh yeah, that was the delivery. nobody is going to come and break into this house without me not being fully awake, as you can tell. So how dare they to deliver it? And the high priestess is the observation. So this is really interesting. So this is really telling you that your behavior in this period is being quote unquote monitored. The high priestess is like, look at, she has this like black drape and a white drape. So there will be pillars really in the regular kind of like deck. And she's worshipping the moon. So hence all of these negativities that moon can bring, you are being judged upon. So it's kind of, he did that. He did that. He did that. You know, it's kind of like a very uncomfortable feeling. So it's almost like sitting in a therapist's office and you're just telling your story and they're like putting things down, which always would feel probably uncomfortable, right? So something like that is happening spiritually, but it's maybe based on something that is not well half-baked idea, kind of like that has been pushed forward. So things are straightening out. You're getting and regaining ability to think and rethink on what you want, which is really, really important over here, right? But ultimately, 7 and 9, it is, and both are major, so they're not as accurate when I add them up, because majors are just speaking for themselves, right? So 7 is the time for introspection, but it's reversed. You will be looking for lots of activities. Lots of activities can bring the angry people, and then you go back into your shell entirely. You stop talking, which means that you might even stop talking to this person and just say, had enough, I'm fed up, kind of a thing, right? So let's see over here. So let's see this king, and you also have a messenger here. So maybe I'm getting here suggestion in my head, don't kill the messenger. So I'm just going to maybe tell you something that is not favorable. It's going to send you for a loop, and you need to process it. So that's very, very important here as well. Yes, Christelle, congratulations. And here we have letters. So there are like lots of communications happening over here. This could be about some kind of trip as well, because Chariot is kind of like moving forward, but Chariot is also very fast. Chariot is the warlike. He is not emperor, but he is the one who is basically the foot on the ground, right? And he kind of like wants to serve the emperor and conquer whatever is needed to be conquered, right? But I really like this intuitiveness that I really don't need to interpret over here, because this is really showing me that you'll be getting lots of downloads. So Capricorns, remember, you'll be feeling very spiritual this time. And if somebody's harsh, that it was like something that somebody's stirring you toward your own karma. And you need to reassess why they were. Maybe it's time to cut off some people from your life. And maybe if you're going to the legal judgments, it might be something that is not in your favor. But nonetheless, I think if that's the case, you'll feel it was a waste of money or something. But I also have a feeling that you are not done with it. I have a feeling that you will go through a reassessment, and this is kind of like that meditative state to kind of figure out what is that you want to do and that kind of stuff. So, well, that much. So how many did we have today? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So we have 2 more, guys. I'm going to pull both now. I didn't pull this one. That's going to go next. And there's going to be one more after another. Let me just shuffle. And this one is going to be the last one for today. And we are going to have the doors at the very, very end. So let me remove this one. Let me see what you have, guys. Libra is guest over here. Cancer is guest. Guys, have some more guesses. More guesses. So no more Capricorn, and I am going to Scorpio. Oh my gosh, Scorpio wants to speak. Well, we had Taurus, we have Scorpio. That's not necessarily a bad idea to understand what is really going on and what do we really need to deal with. Kind of like, it's only, you have to deal with adrenaline rush when you're going through the process. Only later you can start analyzing and kind of like, oh well, this is what happened and that's what happened, right? So that's kind of like where things do happen. So all right, let's see. Scorpio, did anybody guess? No, I don't think so. Scorpio. Christelle, you should have an Etsy shop. Why don't you try to have an Etsy shop? That stuff would really, really do well over there. Just a thought, right? Because I have actually ordered from Etsy some prints for my house, and they come printed on a very good paper, just like aquarelle paper, and they're really, really nice prints. Not something you buy at IKEA. So Scorpio, interestingly, it's almost like very kind of like simple events happening over here, except you are here pretending to be very innocent. Isn't this kind of like what is really interesting here? So okay, so we have Three of Wands, we have Page of Cups, and then we have a Knight of Cups, Knight of Wands. So it looks like there's like some kind of like hanky-panky. One person is pretending to be a fluffy innocent bunny, another person is like so much fun. So this could be a one night stand, this could be romance on a trip of some sort, right? Because I see kind of a possibility of a travel there, and definitely Knight of Wands is into it. But also I can see Scorpio Sagittarius connection over here. I'm kind of like seeing this repeat. So bluntly, Three of Wands talks about the progress. You want to move certain things forward. You're going to have way less, weirdly, this is all happening in your sign, but you are almost like going to be outside of your character, or you're going to, or you have trained yourself to be very small, if you wish, and not to kind of like really open your wings fully to that scorpionic powers, because there's like something of an interest to you, and thank God for that. Otherwise we will all be dead, right? Like with bad days for Scorpios, right? So the Knight of Wands is like that progressive person that comes in our life and sometimes can change our life in just one day. So yes, it could mean one night stand, but it could mean that somebody shows us different ways of how to do things and how to handle things, and we kind of like love it, right? It's, oh my gosh, why I didn't do it before, and this is done so much better, and I enjoy this, I'm going to do this. You might like this is also somebody who loves strangers, so this could be a stranger himself, but somebody who is like almost like a world traveler, and it's an experience that's going to matter. And it's really interesting because I think this is you, Scorpio. You're going to be, oh my gosh, I'm so innocent, I've never been with anybody, and I need to learn about relationships. It's kind of like the world is my oyster. So it's going to be a huge level of naivete in your world, but nonetheless this is going to change after that. But it might not be lasting, but it's going to be fun. That I can remember you over here, right? So let's do that. So we have here lover. We have here lover. So it could be also that you're having two lovers now that this is coming as a clarification. So there is somebody who is very naive, but could be somebody very young, right? Where this one is, I don't know if he's Casanova. He would not be Casanova. He would be Johnny Depp in that movie Chocolat. That's kind of like who he would be. Somebody who's a traveler, who fully experienced love, and he's there. And this is why we crave to have a person like that. But then he has to move on because it's the time to move on. And one day he's there, you're expecting the next day it's going to be good, but they're gone. They're gone for good, and you don't know why. And then sometimes you blame yourself or not. But look at this. It's enemy. So yeah, I don't think you're not going to accept these things that are happening very much, because this is the influence of this moon. So you guys need to understand that maybe you'll be talked into things that are not lasting, and you This person always tells you, there are always promises, because they're living in the moment. In the moment, if they tell you they love you, they do love you and do want to spend the rest of their lives with you. They do want to kind of like spread their wings with you and fly. They do want to travel with you. They want to have babies with you. However, as they travel home that night, they have been triggered with something else, and now they want something else. So it's not a person who has who's permanent in their decisions. So hence, you cannot blame them, and you're making them into an enemy. But that's very scorpionic, like, I mean, black or white. These are those extremes here that are happening. But you still have the other one who we are deeming now very infantile as a result. Or maybe there's somebody much younger. Maybe this is going to go and suit your ego. I want to see another one here. So let's see. And then we have fortune. You're going to, well, of course, your scorpionic powers. You have this phoenix spreading the wings. Things are going to really, really work out. So the fortune is going to happen. Maybe this simply means, because this starts with that, you're starting some business project. Maybe you're meeting somebody from the foreign countries. Maybe you're meeting different levels, different sorts of people. And for you, you're processing people also with emotional engagement. And this is what happens. There are opportunities. You maybe play both opportunities. And the second one that didn't get much, that you are turning into enemy, or I don't think they are turning you into enemy. So again, it's that Scorpio Sagittarius, because we are Sagittarius sun. But this is turning into fortune, because we are going under Jupiter at this particular time in December. So something that you have set your mind upon, that this person maybe was a catalyst of getting into that more, and then the person just bailed on you and you got stuck. It's going to be ultimately very successful. So do not worry about that. So that's kind of like what needs to be done. So let's see. Kylie said, tell people what they want to hear, then they want to do the opposite, like yourself. You can read people or they're immune from being deceived, as it does happen. Well, we all get deceived. I remember, like, when long time ago, when I was starting to my first jobs here, I would always notice the errors on my paycheck, and these errors were always in the favor of an employer. And I would say, oh my gosh, it's an error, and I would always correct it. Almost like looked weird that I'm correcting it. And my coworkers would always say, oh, this never happened to me. This never happened to, oh, never happened to me. It's only happened to you. And then I looked at our checks, and all of us are being cheated on, except I realized it, I addressed it, I move on to a different job, and they're still being stolen from. That's kind of like, since this is the price for being a smartass as well, I guess, if you wish. And we are coming to the last one for today, because this is our sixth for today. And no, we are still running because Sagittarius went first. I still need to pull one out. It's going to be a little bit easier for the next time. Which one do you want? Let's grab this one here. So, and we have Aries coming as the very last one. So let's take these guys on the side for the next time. And this one behind me. So it is Aries. And let's do that. Put a stamp over here. Goes. So Aries, you would not believe how often people steal on your paycheck if you don't check these numbers. And I have a degree in math, right? So that's something that is really probably easy for me to check. I noticed this, like even the last employer that I had this year, they were like stealing consistently 2% of my paycheck. It's going to be addressed. It's not going to end well for them, right? It can add up to money. And I'm thinking, like, look, if I want to give a charity, like my salary is not a charity. I'm not giving you my salary, because I'm not independently wealthy. But if I give charity, I give charity to who I want, not who forces me into that. So let's do it. Oh my gosh, we didn't have air yet. That's, I guess, air is already furious. Air is already incensed, like they're driving us nuts, because air is going to be the one that is going to create lots of issues. So who do we have there in the US? We have Biden, and he is Scorpio, right? And then we have a challenger, Donald Trump, who is an air sign. So what can go wrong in that situation? Oh my God, right? We will see. We will see what happens on November 8th. I have the interview. I had a whole bunch of interviews. Oh, that's another thing. Last week. I was supposed to take Excel test, and there's a company that apparently distributes tests all over the world. And I took a mock-up test, and I found 4 questions out of 10 incorrect. And I called them like naively, said, you know what, like in this test, is there the wrong test that you loaded, because there are 4 questions incorrect. No, they're all correct. No, they're not correct. I put here equal sum 2 numbers, and that should add them up. And it did add them up, and I did do what you asked me to do, and yet it told me it's incorrect. No, it's correct. So I just know these tests are going to be horrible, because I cannot trust the correctness of it. But let me see. I'm talking over you, Aries, so it's going to be a little bit longer, but we will see. Now, Aries, you squeezed your foot through the door. So let's see here. You have 7 of Wands reversed. You have King of Cups reversed. And you have 8 of Cups. You know, my brother is Aries. He and I this year stopped talking, and he's dead to me. And the reason for that, going from somebody to whom I was very close to being dead to me, is how my mother died, who died end of June. That he was just not willing to take her to the hospital, and he put his laziness and his aggression ahead of her needs. And mother and I are not getting along. We didn't speak in many years. It doesn't mean that I wish her to die with a hellish thing, but kind of like she would deserve it with her karma. But this is kind of like what I'm seeing over here, where somebody is angry, somebody's holding his position, but when this reverses, it's like they're tired. It takes so much energy to do that. But there's still lots of lies that are happening. But it also can be appearance of that guilt trip that you feel, not guilt trip, guilt, just guilt. Because this is Pisces, but when it's reversed, it's Scorpio, right? So it also can be Virgo for some of you as well. So just keep this in mind. And look at it, 7 and 8 is 15. And 15 is the devil in tarot. My brother also stole everything from me. Everything that I was supposed to get from mother, he just stole. And there is no need. He's like doing well. And I was like actually very surprised with this attitude, because we had good communication, I thought, an open thing. But this kind of like really happened. So Aries is, I'm not saying that all of you are like that if you are over here, but I'm just saying here that there is like some kind of like guidance. So look at it, there's like some kind of relationship that you are having, and that is really important to you. But at the same time, there are like some majorly important relationships that are rendering you emotionally unstable over here. And the devil is still talking you into, oh, you did a good thing. Yeah, screw them. It's a good thing, kind of like a thing. No worries about that. It's kind of like you need to figure out. So yes, you do have a fire. So you see, we have the cups, we have the water. Fire and water is the steam. It's explosion. It's a hot lava, right? So it's not necessarily something you want to have your head in, or your feet, or your hands. So there's going to be lots of tricky things, and there's no karma cards. You're not addressing this karmically. So which basically leads me to believe there is something done internally. So somebody walking away, maybe they simply just address, in my brother's case, loss of the mother, and the sister walked away, or him walk away. It's interestingly, it's a full moon here and it's a full moon here. So this is also talking about, and today would be my mom's birthday on November 5th, a Scorpio. Oh, what can go wrong when you have mother Scorpio? Oh my God. Don't recommend that. Don't kind of like do that at home, kind of a thing. But let's see what you guys get for, what do you get for interpretation? Melody. I told you somebody does feel guilt. Oh, Aries rarely feels guilt. That's a newbie, right? Because their job in this horoscope is like to take the doors down and just to break them down so we can all get in. You're not stuck. But nobody's going to accuse them of being super, sensitive about not flying in all directions and not saving all the screws and stuff. It's going to be, you want it down or you have it down, kind of a thing. Well, I think I'm healing through this period right now that we are going through. Look at this misfortune. You know what has happened? It's kind of weird how you shift the destiny. So look at what happened. Because I have no children, I was to leave everything to my brother. Not so much to him, but to his daughters, right? And everything that I ever did or acquired, and every savings that I did, was by keeping those kiddos in mind. And when he did that, I just went to the lawyer and I revoked my will, and they're not going to get anything. So what he stole is minuscule to how much they would get from me. Mind you, I'm not dying anytime soon, I hope, but nonetheless, it's a very short-sighted kind of like thinking to do that. And it's incomprehensible to me, and I try to appeal to him because it was him and his wife. And his wife, I also feel that she gave some pills. It's so sad what I observed. Like my mom has my personality, my character. She was like very kind of like independent, very much valued her independence, except she was passive aggressive. I am just aggressive. So she always wanted us to work. She never wanted me to marry in a rich family and just be a homekeeper, and I'm really thankful for kind of that direction. But she was also very domineering, and she only wanted things to be done her way. So she was even flirting with my husband. That's kind of like a mother she was. It's so freaking bizarre. But anyway, she deserved lots of bad karmas in how she treated me, and that resulted in us not speaking for many, many years. But nonetheless, she didn't have any guilt. All of the time, she didn't have a guilt about how she treated me, and the fact that I had to leave the country just not to breathe the same space. And that karma now repeated in my brother, and she wanted him, the son, so much. She just felt like a failure when she got the first daughter. So now she had a little son who married this woman who is a medical worker. So this medical worker took upon herself to subject that independent woman to treatment that she was presenting. See, look how this works. She was presenting as, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm doing this for you, and I'm doing this for you. So she would bring pills, but I would bring pills for somebody that I would put it in their head. No, she was waiting for their mouth to open. And I observed that, and I seen that. And she kept telling me that many, many times to me. And I knew that when my mom started to have delirium, because she had delirium a year ago, and we realized it's delirium done because of some opiates that she was taking, because she had aberrations of her hips. I'm pretty sure that my sister-in-law saved some and just used this because she had enough of the elderly problems. And my brother didn't wake up, and that's where I have lost mother and a brother at the same time. So there it is. Look at this. Widow. And who is the widow? I think it's like really not so much widow, but there is somebody who has simply died, right? Or this whole thing is like becoming a big loss. as a result. So Aries, these are like really bad cards, but you're going through some big cleanse. Are you going to be able to admit things and deal with things? But this is like for you to save relationships. If you don't do that, even the things that are currently working might not work. You might be walking away from that. Even though I kind of like cut relationships with my brother, call him every name in the book. Trust me, I'm Aquarius. I was not feeling stingy on that level, but there is no way back. Once you piss Aquarius, that's the line in sand, and you can as well be on a different planet. So don't think that I'm taking this against all Arieses or even him, because I actually do wish him well. I do wish him to kind of like find his path, because I do feel very intuitively that he's not going to live very long, as he is also going to be poisoned. And I also think that maybe my father was poisoned. Well, that's a story for a different time. So, how to prevent myself from them? They are not coming. Easy. Even though the war, it looks like it's going to start in Europe. Oh my gosh, I forgot even that war. That can something happen. So Tuesday, guys, buckle up. That's the beginning of the fireworks. Aries, from all the signs that I read in the first part, you're going to have a tough time. So please make sure you are listening to the introduction. So to give you a little bit more idea why we are going through this different level of processing the entire situation. Okay, well, guys, clearly, as you can see, I'm no longer emotional. I cry when I see a dead cat. I cry about that because it was something going on for many, many years. But thank you guys for giving me hugs, kind of stuff. Chris, I have always found Aries individuals to have very young energy. Yes, they do have a very young energy, and that young energy is sometimes unbridled, and but they're also very aggressive. They are not growing. And I think my brother grew as much as he could, and it just cannot go further than it is, right? So we are going now to Taurus. And guys, oh, Barbie is already ahead of me. Let me just close this here. Do I have it? Where is it? Oh, there it goes. Here we go. Guys, think about a question that you want to have answered, and let's do it. So I'm not doing bad. Like with the special time that I have to cover the eclipses, I add a half an hour, but I think we are still doing well. The next time we are just going into the second part, and we are well ahead of December, and I'm so looking forward to annual 2023, because there are like so many. I'm already preparing, already writing notes about that. So the door number 1 I have. The door number 2 I have. And the door number 3 I also have. Let me just remove this and return myself back on the screen. Just put a stamp. So what are we really dealing here with? Door number 1, let me see. We have a 2, and we have a 3. So the 3 jumped with the 2 cards, and this one here is 9 of Cups. So nobody asked for door number 1. Maybe somebody else will on the replay. So door number 1 is like 9 of Cups reverse, which means like we're dreaming about good things happening to us, which is really important. This is one of the really important things to do if you want to be a happy person. You have to start thinking in technicolor. It's very important, because people who get depressed tend to kind of like think inward, right? This came reversed, which means they're almost like forcing yourself. That means that there's like something going on where it's like distrust and disbelief, and there's like clearly the positivity that is going to make a difference. So this is neither yes, neither nor, but it's going to be really your attitude. You can even pretend to be happy, but if you're inside happy, it's going to be picked up. So hence, you really need to work on yourself in order to kind of like present this properly. So we can see that kind of like how it goes, right? The door number 2, we have few, and we have 4 of C reversed. So this means there was some situation that was in some kind of stagnation, that maybe you dealt or you wanted a person. Look at this, all these lobsters, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. But a kitty cat is sleeping. I'm tired. I'm lethargic. Leave me kind of alone, right? So this is really talking about, hey, you know what? I need to get out of this funk. I need to start doing stuff. I need to move. I need to shake. So you guys, you need to look at your supplements, that your nutritional supplements that you're taking. See if you're eating the proper food, because this is clearly talking about maybe going out in the nature. Maybe you're not spending enough time in the fresh air, which would mean D3, especially if you're in Northern Hemisphere. D3 is missing of some sort. So this is really important to kind of like know that things are kind of turning around there, but things are turning around with you attacking nutritional in kind of like discrepancies, as well as there's like some kind of motivation that has to happen in order for this to happen. So this is almost like on a back burner, because somebody is just like not working on this wish, if you wish. And then we have 3. We have a 5 of sky and earth dome. So it's a situation that you can find yourself where you feel extremely inadequate. It's kind of like weird, because so it's like going, somebody's inviting you to a dance, right? And you put on a really nice dress and a necklace, and then you show up, and so you have this beautiful gown, and everybody else is just in rags, and all of a sudden, even though you're dressed for the occasion, you are not fitting into this occasion, right? So there are like things that are really going on over there. But I think you're going with somebody who is rescuing you from that atmosphere. It's almost like a street kind of a thing, and it's a company of the people that you're not used to. You're willing to kind of like learn more, but it doesn't go two ways, that street. But you find somebody, you have somebody here coming through and helping you. There is a rescue. There is a friend. I love Earth Tom. So this is the person who will be there. It's like the proverbial superhero from Marvel movies, right? Superman, where are you? Flash, where are you? Kind of like that's kind of like one of the things that is really, really happening. So, but also everything is connecting to these moon phases that are happening, that like you have to deal with. Okay, how do I deal if I don't get all of these goodies? Will I still be happy, right? How do I deal if, okay, I lose my job? Will I still be this person? Will I still be able to contribute, right? For example. And here, how do I deal with if, let's say, I have a boyfriend who just comes from a different walks of life, and I have no comprehension for it, and I'm feeling very, very unaccepted. What do I do? Well, you need to call a friend, and you need to speak to a friend, because that's going to be helping you and go in a new direction. So this was a little bit on the dark side. I'm so sorry about that. I mean, we did have like a little kind of like span of few readings that were just really, really nice and really encouraging. And it is what it is this time around, but is it? My work team are called the Marvels. So there you go. So that's what is happening all over the place. So guys, please, if any one of you wants to send me a few photographs so I can feature you in the future videos, that would be great. And then I can merge them maybe all together, like just around the new year, and just keep just leaving them on with a good freaking music on Cat Tarot. I think that would be so awesome. But that involves a little bit of you organizing yourself and doing yourself, and see if you kind of want to do it. It's kind of like fun too, because you remind yourself, oh my gosh, look at me, I was like 20 pounds, and I thought I was fat, but look at me, I want to show this was me. Kind of like that could be fun, right? So I wish you all the best. I'll see you next Saturday in the same space. I love you very much, and until the next time, you have a beautiful weekend and a beautiful week, and buckle up, brace for an impact. Love you.